Hey everyone, we're going to go over how phones are helpful tools once again. This book is by Karen Ligers. So let's think about how many times someone that supports you or your parents or a staff that you're with or you even have looked at your phone today and how many ways you've used it. You might have used it to order food. You might have used it as a map to tell you how to get to a different place if that you've never been before and can help you with directions. You might have used it to check email or to do a text message or to FaceTime. You might have used it to buy something on the internet. So there are lots of different ways, and let's see how many ways our characters use their phone in this story. Some words that we want to keep in mind as we're looking at this story. Landlord, also called a property manager, that's a person that rents homes or buildings to other people or cares for the building that you are in if you don't own it. So if you're paying rent to someone, that person helps make sure everything is going right. And if there's a problem, that they help find somebody who can fix it. Phone contacts are a list of names and phone numbers saved in a cell phone. And before cell phones came out, there used to be these are called phone books. And rather than being able to bring up the contacts and type in one letter to bring up a list of people that you're looking for, you would have to go alphabetically to find a business. And in this phone book, it also has the address and the phone number, but it didn't used to be as easy as pulling up your phone contacts and typing something in. You'd have to look through categories or go through the last letter of a person's name to be able to find their phone number. So it's gotten a lot easier than it used to be. A plumber is a person who works on water pipes in a building. So maybe they help with a clogged sink. They might help with a toilet that's overflowing or a toilet that is plugged. They work with the water pipes that you have issues with. A calendar app is a program on your phone to keep track of dates and times. So you might have a calendar on your wall. It's just like having a calendar on your wall, but it's made a lot smaller to fit on the inside of your phone. So all you have to do is bring it up. Things to learn from this story: that it is important to keep your phone contacts updated. You can search online for phone numbers you may need, so you don't have to use one of these anymore. But if you don't have the internet, this is a great resource to use, or if you don't have a cell phone, it's still a good resource. And the third thing to learn from the story is a phone is useful for solving problems. So here we go. Libby wakes up Jim. The toilet is leaking. That is a problem. So when you have a problem, you have to think, what should we do? And in this situation, Jim doesn't know how to fix the leaky toilet. And neither does Libby. So they are going to call Harold. Remember, Harold is their landlord. He is the guy that is in charge of where they live and keeps everything kind of flowing smoothly, no pun intended. Libby saved Harold's phone number in her phone contacts. That was a very bright thing of Libby to do. It sounds like Jim didn't do that, so Libby tells Jim the phone number, and Jim dialed Harold's phone number. If Jim had this in his in his contacts, he would just be able to bring it up and click on it, and it would call right away. You want to make sure your phone numbers are kept updated in your contacts. Jim tells Harold the problem. Jim says, Harold, my toilet's leaking. I don't know how to fix it. So Harold said he's going to send a plumber at 11 a.m. So think about this. Jim called Harold. Now Harold probably has to call the plumber. He probably has to look it up in his contacts. If it's not in his contacts because it's not someone he typically uses, then he would have to go on the internet to find it, or use this phone book again to find the number of a plumber to call. And when the plumber answers, he's going to have to look at his calendar to see if he has a time that he can squeeze in to help out Jim and Libby. Jim enters 11 a.m. on his calendar app. So Jim is making an appointment saying, okay, I need to remember this. I'm going to get out my phone. I'm going to put exactly when he's coming in so I don't miss it, because this is an important issue. And what does he see? He sees that he's supposed to meet his friend Ben for lunch at 11:30. Now, Jim doesn't know how long it's going to take the plumber to fix the toilet, but probably over a half hour, depending on what time he got there. So it's probably going to interfere with lunch, meaning it's going to run into their lunch. They're going to have to change plans. Jim finds Ben's phone number in his phone contacts. Way to go, Jim. He kept Ben's number updated, so all he has to do is pull up the phone number and touch it, and it'll call Ben. He called Ben to make new plans, and they decided to order food in. And what did they decide to order? Let's look at the picture, and you can see up here in this little bubble that it is pizza. They went for pizza. The plumber works on the leak when it comes time. Ben comes to Jim and Libby's apartment. Ben finds the phone number for the pizza shop. So they decided to order pizza, but they hadn't called it yet. So again, they use the phone to bring up the phone number for the type of pizza place they want to go to, and they call and order their pizza. And nowadays, you don't even have to call pizza places anymore. You can just pull up an app or pull up the website and order what you want just from the phone. You don't really have to talk to anyone. Jim dials the phone number to order pizza. The pizza will be here in 30 minutes. Jim plays music. There's another way he's using his phone on his phone while they wait. The plumber is done working. The toilet is fixed. Jim and Libby say thank you. They are using their manners, which is always good to communicate when somebody helps you. Ding dong, the pizza is delivered. Jim uses his phone to figure out the tip. So you see he's using a calculator to think, how much should I give the pizza guy? Usually somebody will give 10, 15, or 20%. And when you have trouble figuring that out in your head, which is sometimes very common, you can just do some numbers in your calculator, which is another tool, and that can help you in a very quick way. This has been a good day. The phone helped Jim solve many problems. So let's think about how many ways, and I know we talked about this in the last lesson. They used it when they needed to find a phone number for their landlord. They used it to call the landlord. The landlord used his phone, to call the plumber, maybe look up the plumber's number. Jim used it to make an appointment in his calendar, then used his phone to call his friend, use the phone to find the pizza number, call and order the pizza, play music, and use it for a tip calculator. So Jim really used his phone a lot. I'm sure his screen time report is going to be very high for the day. Jim, what is he going to do now? Probably go take a nap. Okay, so some tips. It is important to know your address and your phone number. It is important to use a calendar to keep track of appointments. It is important to know how to look up phone numbers, and it is important to know how to use your phone. That's a big tip, because if you don't know how to use your phone, you're not going to be able to do any of those things that we just mentioned with it. Okay, now we're going to go to the second activity, multiple choice questions. What is this story about? Is it about making new friends? Well, we talked about Jim and Libby and Jim's friend Ben, but they already knew each other because they already had each other's phone numbers. So it's probably not that one. Is it about making phone calls or watching TV? Well, we did make a phone call, lots of phone calls in the story, but they didn't talk about watching TV. So let's go with making phone calls. All right, the next question. Where did Libby save Harold's phone number? Did she save it in her phone contacts, in a drawer, or in a locker? They didn't talk about a drawer or a locker, but the whole focus of this story is how to use phones in many ways. So let's try phone contact. What do Jim and Ben make? Do they make cards, appointments, or new plans? Remember, Jim and Ben had plans to go out for lunch, and when the plumber was going to interfere with their plans, when he was going to come between their plans, they had to make new plans. So they'd use their communication skills and brainstorming to come up with a new plan. What does Jim do to order pizza? Does he shop to order pizza? Does he dial a phone number to order pizza? Or does he drive to order pizza? Which one do you think it is? Let's go with dials a phone number. And we got it right. What is important to know about this story? That pizza is good for lunch? I agree. You should use a cleaning plan? Well, you should. Phones help solve problems. So when we're only talking about this story, you might agree with all statements. You might think, yeah, pizza is good for lunch. It's great. My favorite food. Or you might think, I should use a cleaning plan, but I don't want to. Okay, that's great too. What about phones help solve problems? That is exactly what this story is about. And this is a picture of a puzzle, because sometimes a problem could be thought of as a puzzle that you have to figure out to make it all come together. All right, guys, that is the lesson for the day. I hope you all have a really great rest of your day. Enjoyed the story, got a lot of the questions right, and can have some ideas. Think about the next time when you use a phone or you see someone using their phone, how many different ways our phones can help us.